Now for our feature story of the day. Rich dad Robert Kiyosaki predicts a Bitcoin crash days after $500,000 Bitcoin price action. Let's break this baby down. Let's start with the tweet. This one he shared on December 1st, which is today. Obviously, he's a big influencer, best-selling author. Let me know if you ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It was one of my favorite books as a young adult growing up. Books like that, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, Wallace Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. These are all classics. So I look up to Rich Dad. I've been, reading his books for a long time. But anyways, got almost 2 million views. He wrote Bitcoin to crash. Bitcoin is stalled short of 100,000. Yeah, by $140, Rich Dad. That means Bitcoin may crash to 60. Now, in my humble opinion, I think it is very unlikely to crash to 60, but nonetheless, we're going to entertain this. If and when that happens, and at least he's honest, he says if. It means he probably believes it's not going to happen. But he's just saying if it does happen, of course he's not going to sell. Bitcoin would be having a sale. I will buy more of the biddy. Because he's a smart man. Hence why he's the rich dad. He's not the poor dad. The poor dad hodls fiat at the bank. What do we call them, folk? Poor dad. But anyways, I predict Bitcoin will settle at around 250,000. Clearly, he means thousand in here, not $250, okay? Just want to be clear. You got to read between the lines sometimes. So he thinks we'll settle at around 250,000 for 2025. At this stage of the Bitcoin process, price is not as important as how many Bitcoin you acquire. He gets it. That's the bigger picture. It's not the fiat value of the biddy. It's how much Bitcoin do you have? Are you stacking the sats? Or are you swallowing the gnats? It's one or the other. He goes on to say, I want more Bitcoin. Take care. So yeah, this is hopeful thinking. I think he's praying to the gods that Bitcoin crashes to 60 G's so he can get to his target of 100 Bitcoin. I think he shared that he had like 77 Bitcoin or something like that. And I think he's trying to get to 100. And in his perfect scenario, he'll have the opportunity to do so. However, we may not crash to 60. In fact, you may have already seen the crash at 97 and we may just accelerate to 250. So keep that in mind. Anything can happen with thy biddy. Stack sats accordingly. So yeah, he shared with his 2.6 million followers. He's been very vocal supporter of Bitcoin, to say the least. He has always called on American citizens, especially the ones active in the crypto market, to purchase the biddy. There is a consensus that the crypto is now down from its Trump fuel surge since early November. That was on the 5th. Speculation has grown about what will happen next for Bitcoin. Initially tied to the situation surrounding the Trump win of the polls, analysts have said the asset could maintain its momentum till next year. Well, history has shown us we always hit the cycle peak the year following the halving. Guess when we had the halving? April of 2024. So if history is to repeat, right? And they say sometimes history don't always repeat, but often it rhymes. So let's keep with that. If history rhymes, we'll have the cycle peak next year in 2025. So keep that in mind. So Kiyosaki said that since the asset tried to breach 100,000 without success, the next move is a downward spiral. He said if. He didn't say it was. He cited historical instances when the bears overtook the Bitcoin market, as he said Bitcoin could drop as low as 60. And I just read you that tweet out loud from earlier today. However, he assured his users they should not be dismayed, as he won't sell, even if it happens. He noted that instead he'll take advantage of the Bitcoin sale to purchase more of the units of the digital assets and stack the sats accordingly, because that's the name of the game. Now, updating his prediction, Kiyosaki revealed the asset may do well and settle to 250 G's, baby, in 2025. Let me know if you agree, disagree. He also said that users should stop dwelling on the asset price, urging them to keep stacking the sats and stack as much as possible. That's actually very sage advice, in my humble opinion. Quoting him here, at this stage of the Bitcoin process, price is not as important as how many Bitcoin you acquire. I want more Bitcoin. That's the bigger picture. So don't get caught up with the fiat reflection of the Bitcoin. Just keep stacking the sats and increasing your Satoshis. That's the name of the game. Now, Kiyosaki has built a reputation around support for the Bitcoin and assets like gold and silver. The famous author has always held his stance against traditional money, arguing the disadvantage of holding it. You don't want to be like poor dad broskies. With his credibility, while his credibility has not been called into question, Kiyosaki has certainly made audacious Bitcoin predictions in his campaign for the leading asset. For instance, he predicted last year Bitcoin would hit 350,000 by August. A prediction clearly did not happen. Again, this year, Kiyosaki made an even bolder prediction, saying Bitcoin will hit 1 million by 2030. I think that's very probable, in my humble opinion, especially with the United States adopting Bitcoin, stockpiling it, and making the United States of America the Bitcoin mining capital of the world. Yeah, so things have definitely changed since the Trumpster. And what's ironic is Kiyosaki wrote a couple of books with Trump. I remember picking one up when I was a young man. It was called Why We Want You to Be Rich. I remember reading that book. So shout out to the rich dad. So far, his predictions have been a wide off the mark, and his bullish stance has failed to align with reality. But meanwhile, some of his followers voiced their opinion over his constant predictions. One said they no longer take Kiyosaki seriously. Quoting them here, "I just can't take this guy serious no more. His constantly changing opinions on crypto, gold, and silver." Hey, I've been following Kiyosaki since a young man, half a lifetime ago. He's always been bullish on gold and silver. And since he started promoting Bitcoin, he's always been bullish on it. So I actually respect Kiyosaki. Just like anyone else, no one can be perfect when you're making predictions. Most of your predictions you make will not come true unless your name is Edgar Casey and you're the sleeping, what they call him, the sleeping giant, or no, I'm sorry, the sleeping prophet. Or if maybe you're Nostradamus, you may be right more times than wrong, but nonetheless, you got to respect them. Shout out to the rich dad. Just keep stacking a biddy. And with that being shared, let me know your thoughts. Do you think we'll hit 500,000 potentially this cycle? Do you think we'll settle at 250,000 in 2025 as he's outlining in his latest prediction? Holla at your boy. I'm all ears. We got 2,000 people here live and in the flesh. Give it up for yourselves. We're so back. Currently, the inflation date indicates a halt to the further rates. So the biddy will menopause. If Michael Saylor stays on course, all Bitcoin will be bought by him alone in the next 4 months. Exactly. Saylor, take all the Bitcoin. You and Larry Fink. Monopoly. Let's go.